Part 87. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 861. In the vast universe, meeting is destiny. Why does this brother want to hit me without saying a word? Have I offended you in any way? The voice came from the back of the spaceship, and everyone on the Predator spaceship was collectively shocked, and Peter Quill turned around quickly. I saw a handsome and elegant Chinese man sitting on a chair at the back of the spaceship, crossing his legs and looking at him with a smile. Peter immediately took out his gun and pointed at the other party, asking, "Who are you? How did you get on my spaceship?" However, the reactions of several new friends on the spaceship were a bit intriguing. "Stinky egg. Is it really you?" "I'm a bad girl," a girl's voice came. Li Xiaoao, the clone of the Seven Stars Shadow, took a look and saw a graceful figure throwing herself into his arms. It was Lin Yueru. When Xiao Ming used his mental power to scan the spaceship just now, he didn't pay attention to who was who. And the name Yueru called out was too weird, and he didn't react for a while. It was not until she jumped into his arms that he realized that this was a familiar stranger. This Lan Yueru was not an avatar like Li Xiaoao, but the real Lin Yueru. It was just that she did not come from the world Xiao Ming had experienced before. The world of Legend of Sword and Fairy One was the first world Xiao Ming had stayed in for a long time, and it was also the world where he had stayed the longest so far. His two junior sisters, Lin Yueru and Zhao Linger, and his junior brother-in-law Li Xiaoao, all left a deep impression on Xiao Ming. Thinking of the two beautiful sisters calling him senior brother, and Li Xiaoao nicknamed him sixth brother, Xiao Ming couldn't help but smile, and then it dimmed again. Now they have long passed away. When wandering in the reincarnation world, Xiao Ming often let the 7 Yaoying clones use their images. There was nothing else, just a nostalgia. He had also wondered if there would be reincarnationists who would take them as followers and bring them to the reincarnation world, so that there would be a chance to see them again. However, with this expectation, Xiao Ming went through many mission worlds, but he didn't meet these 3 plot characters. This thought gradually faded. Unexpectedly, in such a world, he actually met Lin Yueru. No need to ask, she must have been brought in by a reincarnationist. This reincarnationist is probably not a simple person to accept Lin Yueru as a follower. Looking up, there are a total of 7 people in this spaceship. Among them, Peter Quill and a purple-skinned beautiful alien named Brett should be plot characters. Lin Yueru is a follower. The other 4 are reincarnationists, and they are divided into 2 groups. On the left is a man and a woman in black suits. The man is probably Lin Yueru's master, with B-level strength. The woman is only C-level, the same as Lin Yueru now. The 2 on the right are both boys. They both have a small piece of white bone mask on their faces as decoration, and they are also dressed in white, with very unique taste. The strength of the 2 is also between C and B-, just like the other group of people added together and divided by 2. The 2 sides are evenly matched. These 4 reincarnations are not the cosplayers in the middle. They only imitate the clothes of the characters in the plot, not the appearance of the characters in the plot. The one on the left is the man in black. Of course, it is not ruled out that they just like black suits. The one on the right is imitating the 10 Blades, or the Arrancar. Xiao Ming has neither seen nor heard the details of these 2 waves of characters in the plot. Naturally, he can't recognize them at this time. Seeing that Li Xiaoao's clone looked around and didn't answer his words, Peter Quill was unhappy. But seeing that a girl among his people actually threw herself on the person who came, it means that she is someone he knows. He had to suppress his anger and ask the man in black, "Mr. Zhao Yongnian, is this person your friend? What's the situation?" This Zhao Yongnian, a man in black with a very elegant temperament, didn't know what to say at this time. He could only perfunctorily say, "We are not friends, but we just know each other." Let's deal with this matter. Mr. Peter can just watch. Then, Zhao Yongnian and the two men in white looked at each other for a while, and both of them felt a little awkward. With their strength, they couldn't tell that Li Xiaoao was a clone. If it was an ordinary shadow clone, they would be very familiar with it and it would be easy to judge. But the level of the Qi Yao shadow clone was relatively high, and neither of them could recognize it. They thought they had encountered a reincarnation who liked to cosplay Li Xiaoao. The other party's sudden appearance on their spaceship was a bit preemptive. They didn't understand what the method was. Don't say they don't understand, Xiaoming is not very sure now. This skill seems to have a little shadow of the substitute technique, and also a little shadow of the wormhole. It's probably a mixture of these two technologies. A short-distance instant teleportation skill invented by Xiaoming himself. This skill was first used in the world of X-Men to move away the Mad Black Phoenix. Xiaoming was so anxious that he used the skill without knowing why. It was not clear at the time. Later, when he had time to think about it slowly, Xiaoming realized that he seemed to have created a new skill. At this time, Lin Yueru, who pounced on Li Xiaoao, also found other problems. Stinky egg, why are your eyes red? There are patterns, they are pretty good. Yes, when Xiaoming summoned the 7 stars clone Li Xiaoao, he gave him a pair of Sherry Nan. And at this time, Yin Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming had already teleported to the inside of Peter's spaceship. Karama and others are now hiding in Guangmingding or Kunlun. If anyone looks out, the spaceship that Zhang Ren transformed into has disappeared at this time. However, no one has noticed this yet. Several reincarnations were shocked by the words red eyes and patterns. As reincarnations, they are too clear about it. When they look closely, it is true. This guy who is dressed up as Li Xiaoao actually has a pair of 3 Magadama Sherry Nan. Maybe he also has a Mangekyo Sherry Nan. The 3 men raised their vigilance at the same time. Only the lady in black is still shallow and doesn't know the seriousness, so she is still calm. With a Mangekyo, she is at least a B-level reincarnation, or even an A-level. Wouldn't it be that everyone together is not a match? The few people who were originally a little scheming quickly united their front. As the strongest, Zhao Yongnian took 2 steps forward and said to Lin Yueru and Li Xiaoao respectively. Miss Lin, come back. That's not the real Li Xiaoxia. Hey, brother, isn't it a bit unfair for you to do this? Li Xiaoao's clone laughed, no matter how unfair I am, can you guys fire at me without asking any questions, so unfair. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 862. Haha, the charming Uncle Zhao Yongnian sneered, and the girl in black next to him looked at him with admiration. Ming Gren doesn't tell secret words or use special props. At this time, you can't enter this world at all. Don't tell me that you are lost. Xiaoming, who was invisible on the side, was shocked. Is there such a way to play? From what this dear friend said, they probably used some method to seal off this world so that other reincarnations could not enter. It is conceivable that their plans are very big. This is not unreasonable. In a world that does not suppress Xiaoming's strength at all, there must be good things. However, their methods can only be effective on reincarnators. Strictly speaking, Zhang Xiaoming is not a reincarnator, but a golden guest in the reincarnation space. Just playing along with the reincarnators. Therefore, it was impossible to be restricted by their methods, and they really just strolled in. There's nothing wrong with saying I'm lost. Zhang Ren was just flying around randomly. But I'm afraid people won't believe these words. And does Xiaoming dare to say anything about VIPs? What a joke. After listening to a few words, Lin Yueru seemed to realize that this Li Xiaoao was not his own stinker. However, he was so similar to Stinky that he couldn't tell the difference at all. I was a little overwhelmed for a while. However, she still nestled in the arms of Li Xiaoao's clone and refused to come out. It's just that the hug isn't as tight as before. Xiaoming and his family, Li Xiaoao, Zhao Linger, and Lin Yueru, have lived together in the demon locking tower for several years. Don't be too familiar with this brat who kidnapped two of his junior sisters. Using the transformation technique to transform into Li Xiaoao, there are almost no flaws. Not only are they similar in appearance, but Xiaoming can also perfectly imitate Li Xiaoao's spiritual power and moves. No wonder Lin Yueru admitted his mistake. It's not that Yueru's eyesight is bad, but that Xiaoming's imitation is too similar. After hesitating for a few seconds, Li Xiaoao sighed and said to Zhao Yongnian in a sincere tone. Your concern is reasonable. I can't explain it. I can only say that I don't know who you are and entering this world was purely unintentional. Tisk before he could finish his words, he saw the same expression on the faces of the other four people. Editor. You continue to make it up. Who are you trying to deceive? Xiaoming was too lazy to explain, so he had to let Li Xiaoao's clone continue. But since I'm here, I will continue to play. What plans you have nothing to do with me. Having said this, the expressions of the other four people changed again. All I think about is, damn, who is this, dare to be so tough in front of us, could it be that, this guy really doesn't know our background? Li Xiaoao ignored them and continued, it seems that you are not the ones in charge. Let's talk to me with someone who is qualified. Then, a faint purple shadow appeared on Li Xiaoao. This is a small prototype of Susanoo, less than 1%, it is specially used to show strength. If you are too lazy to talk and want to start a fight, then I am willing to accompany you. Li Xiaoao's expression changed, and he said sarcastically, anyway, you all have resurrection stones. I'm so crazy about you. The girl in black stopped. Since I can remember, no one has dared to be so provocative. He rolled up his arms and sleeves and pulled out a sci-fi gun from his body. I just wanted to take a shot at this handsome guy who didn't know the heights and heights of the world in front of him. Unexpectedly, his hand was suddenly empty, and the gun was sucked away by Zhao Yongnian out of thin air. The girl didn't understand what he meant, so she started to act coquettishly with her flat mouth. Zhao Yongnian was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. He was the only one among several reincarnations who recognized Susanoo. Take a high-tech laser gun and shoot Susanoo. This kid is so tough. Who taught it? Oh, okay, I taught it myself. Putting aside whether they can be beaten or not, the cab they are currently in is too close to the ceiling of the spacecraft. If the opponent summons Susanoo, even if it's just a bust, the spaceship will be burst. Then let's all go to outer space to survive to the extreme. If Peter Quill's spaceship is destroyed, how will he carry out future missions? Of course, Zhao Yongnian didn't really blame the girl. Just stop her reckless behavior. This girl didn't know Susanoo at all. She had just reached sea level, so it would be too early to introduce Susanoo's A-level moves to her. After stopping his child's reckless behavior, Zhao Yongnian gestured to the two reincarnation men in white, meaning to calm down and let him solve the problem. Zhao Yongnian cupped his fists and saluted Li Xiaoao, do you think you can be arrogant by relying on Susanoo? You must know that there is heaven outside the world, and there are people outside the world. He took out a small instrument and handed it to Li Xiaoao, use this and you can meet my boss. Whether you dare to go or not is up to you. After saying that, he looked at Li Xiaoao with contempt in his eyes. After hearing this, Xiaoming didn't know how to respond. Let's be honest, am I being arrogant, or are you being arrogant? This seems to be really unclear. Zhao Yongnian was 100% sure that they could completely seal off a world, so he determined that Li Xiaoao broke in deliberately to cause trouble. This tone was established. No matter how Li Xiaoao said that he wandered in, he would never believe it. He was even very dissatisfied with Li Xiaoyao's behavior of refusing to admit his guilt even after being caught. After seeing Susanoo, Zhao Yongnian knew that he was no match, but his dissatisfaction became even stronger. He believed that this kid was a reincarnation who had just gained powerful abilities and didn't know how high the sky was and how deep the earth was. He actually dared to come to their two places to make trouble. He was simply an idiot who didn't know how to write the word death. Any reincarnation with a little knowledge would not do such a stupid thing. It's a pity that I can't beat him, otherwise I must teach him a lesson myself. Now I can only let the people above deal with him. The only thing Zhao Yongnian is worried about is that this kid is not easily provoked. If he is determined to make trouble, it will be a big trouble. This mission cannot afford to make mistakes. His logic is actually okay, but the initial tone was wrong. Xiaoming really just strolled into this world. In the reincarnation space, the force that Zhao Yongnian belongs to also has considerable privileges, but I have never heard of the title of VIP in the reincarnation space. It is understandable that he made a mistake. Looking at his life energy and peeking into his thoughts, an ability acquired from Professor X, Xiaoming knew what he was thinking. He also knew that no matter what he said to him, it would be useless. Zhao Yongnian took the initiative to ask Li Xiaoyao to meet his boss, which was exactly what Xiaoming wanted. I hope his boss can be reasonable. This is not a smooth start. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 863. Ha ha ha, Yongnian was fooled by you. Tisk tisk tisk, buddy, your clone is really different. I almost didn't recognize it. After activating the device given by Zhao Yongnian, the Qiyao shadow clone Li Xiaoyao was teleported away. Lin Yuuru, the silly girl, also left with him. After the teleportation, a youthful but old-fashioned voice was heard. The other party had seen through that Li Xiaoyao was a clone. When she heard that this was a clone, Lin Yuuru loosened her hands slightly, looked at Li Xiaoyao for a few times, and hugged him tighter again. This girl's idea was that if another man pretended to be her own stinky egg, then don't hug him, it's useless to let him take advantage of it. The clone is another matter. Most of the clones have no feeling. It doesn't matter if you hug it yourself. Who told this clone to look like a stinky egg? Of course, she didn't know that Xiaoming's shadow clone already had feelings, but the feeling would only be transmitted to the main body after the clone was cancelled. The 7-star shadow clone is even better, and all the information is transmitted in time. Isn't Xiaoming taking advantage of the girl? Actually, it's not. Xiaoming's current life level has long surpassed the state of ordinary humans. He doesn't care much about such things. He has given birth to tens of thousands of children. You know, his telepathic ability circle is always on. Within the range of the circle, he can sense everything around him very clearly. If he wants, he can feel the feeling of close contact with other people at any time. Xiaoming's telepathic power has reached this level. If he doesn't want to, even if he is held by Lin Yuuru, he can block this feeling. Of course, Xiaoming is basically in the state of a high monk now, and he has already let it go in his heart. For the matter of being teleported, you need to pay attention to it. The other party has such power, which is indeed not to be underestimated. In fact, Xiaoming often teleports himself. When Zhao Yongnian handed him the piece, he guessed that it would be a teleportation device. If it is a projector, Li Xiaoyao doesn't have to press the button himself. The location of the teleportation. It is a museum or something like that protected by a barrier. He was greeted by a handsome young man who looked about 20 years old, but was actually at least 100 years old. This person's level is definitely beyond A level, maybe S level, maybe quasi S level, or even super S level. Anyway, at this level, Xiaoming cannot confirm it. This person's strength may be comparable to Zhang Shizu. It is normal for the other party to recognize his background with such high strength. Li Xiaoao's clone will not be embarrassed. Nonsense, Xiaoming is so cowardly, the enemy and our situation is unclear now. If it is not a clone, he would not dare to send it here. This senior, I am here to greet you. You can call me Li Xiaoao. I can't introduce myself now, I believe you can understand. Li Xiaoao bowed. Okay, okay. Many people know my name. I am Zhao Ang. Brother Xiaoao, please sit down, what do you want to drink? As he spoke, the other party waved his hand, and there was an extra chair under Li Xiaoao's butt, and an extra small table beside him. This method is quite powerful. Xiaoming was stunned for a moment, then sat down and said, just clean water, Senior Zhao Ang, you are very good at this, is this magic? Xiaoming did feel the fluctuation of magic power. But he was not sure. Zhao Ang was stunned when he heard it. It seems that Yang Nian really misunderstood. The other party did not come here on purpose. I am quite famous in the reincarnation world. A guy whose clone has reached B level has never heard of me. It is really rare. Could he be acting in front of me? Haha, he must have some skills. Zhao Ang confirmed that Xiaoming had never heard of me. In a flash, Zhao Ang had a love for talent. A master with a background and power would definitely know me. It would be great if such a talent without background could be pulled to his side. You have good eyesight, this is magic. How about it? Are you interested in learning it? Learn it? Of course I'm willing to learn it, but are you willing to teach me? Li Xiaoao's clone was a little confused. Shouldn't he be asking for punishment? How did it become a learning skill? Of course I am willing to, as long as you kowtow and become my disciple like your senior sister Yuuru, I am willing to teach you all the secrets of magic. After hearing this, Li Xiaoao didn't say anything. Lin Yuuru patted his shoulder and shouted. Okay, okay. Stinky egg, you come to be my junior brother, we will eat together until we are old. Suddenly she remembered that this was not Li Xiaoao himself. His expression dimmed and he stopped talking. But when he looked at his clone, he still hoped that he would become his disciple. Xiaoming has always believed that pie will not fall from the sky casually. Things that seem beautiful often have traps. This Zhao Ang, Xiaoming's previous methods of judging authenticity are not very useful on Zhao Ang. Check the life energy. The other party is S level, Xiaoming can't see it clearly at all. Psychic communication? If you want to die, you can try it. Anyway, Xiaoming doesn't dare. Sir, if you have something to say, just say it directly. Xiaoming wanted to hear what Zhao Ang had to say. Well, be cautious, that's good. I'm 100 years old, and there's no point in lying to you. I'll just tell you clearly. Listening to Zhao Ang's story, Xiaoming finally understood why Zhao Yongnian and Zhao Ang had such reactions. Zhao Ang told Xiaoming that this world is called Guardians of the Galaxy 1, but as long as the reincarnations play well, they can expand the world to include the Marvel Universe. Of course, this requires the reincarnations to play very well. Generally, at most, the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is opened, which is a remarkable achievement. Xiaoming has come into contact with the Marvel Universe several times. But it was all in the secret realm of the Magic Planet game. He has never encountered it in the reincarnation space. And Xiaoming's understanding is far from deep enough. If Zhao Ang hadn't pointed it out, Xiaoming would never have thought that this world is also part of the Marvel Universe. Zhao Ang and his friends have a very impressive background. They are members of the royal family of the Song King family among the 12 kings of the Qin dynasty. Xiaoming, who has watched Far Island's Strange Man, knows that the emperor of the Song dynasty was indeed surnamed Zhao. However, there is no such dynasty on Pangostar. The group of people in white clothes came here to cooperate with them. They also have the surname Zhao. But they are the royal family of the Zhao King family. Among the descendants of the 12 kings, the Song Go and Zhao Ma families are naturally close because they both have the surname Zhao. They have always been in an alliance. This time, the two royal families joined forces to attack the world of Guardians of the Galaxy. What they are looking for is an opportunity to strengthen. Of course, what kind of opportunity it is, this is top secret information. Zhao Ang will definitely not tell Xiao Ming at this time. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 864. The two royal families surnamed Zhao, King Song and King Zhao, joined forces this time to attack, using powerful props and authority to ensure that other reincarnations would not come in to cause trouble. Even S-level reincarnators will be blocked from the world, unless he uses more powerful props. At the same time, both sides sent strong men to take charge. One of the masters dispatched by the King of Song family is Zhao Ang. The veteran S-class reincarnator is no less powerful than Zhang Shizu. The most important thing is that he has a special authority and can provide some help in this mission. Zhao Ang will not reveal the rest of the details. Judging from the scale of this mission, the Song and Zhao families are bound to get the reward. This also understands why Zhao Yongnian is so hostile to Xiao Ming. After hearing these words, Xiao Ming's mind began to work rapidly. It turns out that these two big families are playing a trick to dominate the scene. After all, Xiao Ming had become a transcendent not long ago and had no systematic knowledge of the major forces in the reincarnation space. If he had known that these two families had made great contributions to the Chinese nation, Xiao Ming would of course be willing to stay away. No matter what Xiao Ming thought about the strengthening opportunities they were pursuing, he felt that he shouldn't need them. There is no need to conflict with the two families. But even if I just stay in this world, I'm afraid it will make them uneasy. As for learning magic, haha, let's forget about it. What Zhao Ang said about kowtow to become a disciple is a trap. Even Xiao Ming has the ability to make contracts, will the Zhao Song family not have it? If you knock your head down, you will probably be completely restrained. Seeing Zhao Ang's confident look, Xiao Ming was worried that even if he kowtowed with a clone, he would still be involved. I'm sorry, Mr. Zhao, I already have a master. It's impossible for me to kowtow to others and become my master. Xiao Ming first refused the invitation to become my master. But Mr. Zhao, you don't have to worry. The Song and Zhao families have made great contributions to China. As a Chinese, I can just avoid you. Hearing that Li Xiaoao refused to become a disciple, Zhao Ang and Lin Yuuru felt a little regretful. Lin Yuuru only wanted a long-term life-size figure. Forget it if you don't have it. When Zhao Ang heard that this man had a master, he knew that he would not be able to win over him. Since they are willing to give in, the Zhao family should express it no matter what. From another perspective, it is empty talk. If this person only talks about it but actually sabotages it secretly, it will be troublesome. Apart from anything else, a Susanoo who appears at the most inappropriate time may ruin all the previous efforts of the Zhao and Song families. Zhao Ang is well informed and capable. We have a lot of experience in dealing with this kind of problem. Alas, he sighed first, you are a good young man, it's a pity that you can't pass on my mantle. The dressing bowl is a treatment that only close disciples and direct disciples can get. He said this purely as an afterthought and politely. Except for Lin Yuuru, no one took it seriously. I learned my magic from a master in this world. Learning from her depends on fate, and there is no need to kowtow to become a master. Zhao Ang asked with a smile, if you are interested, little brother, I can help you introduce him. Just treat it as our Zhao family and give your brother your compensation, okay? I wish I could have asked for it. You are too polite, senior, to talk about compensation or something. It's just that you will not receive any reward for no merit. Xiaoming quickly used Li Xiaoyao to make concessions. Meeting Zhao Ang's master is indeed a dream come true. Xiaoming was a little uneasy about accepting such a great gift. Zhao Ang smiled even more happily. Little brother, I'm not being polite. This is the rule among reincarnations. You can accept it with confidence. Besides, I'm just giving you an introduction. Whether Master Guyi is willing to teach you depends on your ability. Ancient Master. Oh, I finally got in touch. When Xiaoming was playing the Magic Planet game, he once saw the Ancient Master in the Secret Realm. He is indeed an expert. But at that time, Xiaoming was an Asgardian, so it was impossible for him to learn magic from Master Guyi. This time it seems to be changing. To meet Master Ancient One, it would be inappropriate to use a clone. In the blink of an eye, a new figure appeared next to Li Xiaoyao, Huang Xiaoming. It's not appropriate to use a clone, and of course Xiaoming can't use someone else's face. His own face had to be exposed. Seeing Huang Xiaoming's appearance, Zhao Ang couldn't help but shake his hands. There was also a very strange expression on his face. Why? It wasn't Huang Xiaoming's sudden appearance that scared him. It was because he recognized Xiaoming. Isn't this the boy named Zhang Xiaoming that the Li family and the Xiang family have been fighting over recently? He seems to be very close to Zhang Shizu. There seems to be support from the cultivation sect behind him. If it were him, it would make sense. This kid has indeed just stepped into the realm of transcendence. With Xiaoming's cognitive speed, it's normal that he still doesn't know himself. But this kid's strength, tisk tisk, is really improving by leaps and bounds. It can be seen that his talent is amazing. In other words, it was the amazing strength of the master behind him. Pushing this guy out is nothing more than advertising. A while ago I heard that someone was not convinced and secretly framed Zhang Xiaoming once. I didn't expect that even a certain death situation could be broken. Now all the forces are waiting to see what kind of counterattack the masters behind Zhang Xiaoming will make. What kind of response will Zhang Xiaoming make? He didn't do anything. In fact, he had already forgotten about this matter. Because of that reincarnation world, Xiaoming had an easy life and got a great deal, and obtained a high-end item like World Chain. Relying on the World Chain, Xiaoming locked the world of Yu Yu Hakusho as his own private world. Now his military advisor Karama comes from there. Having received such a great benefit, Xiaoming never thought of revenge in his mind. Maybe he would thank them when he met them. Zhao Ang was relieved when he recognized Zhang Xiaoming, and the next thing would be easy to handle. Although Zhang Xiaoming had caused a lot of trouble, it was nothing in the eyes of the 12 Kings family. Of course, Zhao Ang didn't need to offend such a mysterious force. He couldn't help but praise his previous wise decision. Recommending him to Master Guyi was really a beautiful move. As long as he had seen Master Guyi's magic, Zhao Ang believed that Zhang Xiaoming would not have any other thoughts of messing around. With my reputation, I should be able to get Master Guyi to accept this kid as his disciple. By then, the time this kid spends on tasks will probably be spent on learning magic. The magic of Guyi is very powerful, and naturally very difficult. If you want to learn it, the time consumed is calculated in years. Little brother, please don't blame me if you get cheated. If it were someone else, I wouldn't give him this opportunity. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 865. As a passerby in each reincarnation world, reincarnations generally do not have any important identities. Everyone starts from scratch. However, after reaching a certain level, reincarnations can obtain certain permissions. Of course, to obtain permissions, they must make considerable contributions. In the Marvel series world, there is a wizard organization dedicated to protecting the Earth from attacks by magical forces. Their current leader is called Ancient One. The headquarters of this organization is located in Kamartaj under the Himalayas, and magic temples have been established in London, New York, and Hong Kong. The magic temple can launch defensive magic to protect the entire Earth. As a magic genius in the royal family of King Song, Zhao has learned various kinds of magic in many reincarnations. In his time, there was no Magic Planet game. He was born and died in the past and made many contributions in the Marvel series world. So he obtained a very good permission. When he entered the Marvel series world, he could be granted the identity of the guardian of the Hong Kong temple. It is equivalent to half a plot character. When he appeared as the guardian of the temple, he had no tasks given by the space, only the responsibility of guarding the temple. The stay time in the world is 1 year. Of course, he couldn't leave the temple during this period. Using the identity of the guardian, Zhao can provide a lot of convenience and support to the reincarnations on his side. And a year is not a short time, he can even help several batches of reincarnations. The Songwang family used this authority to gain a lot of benefits in the Marvel world. Of course, the Marvel world is extremely dangerous, and it costs a lot to get benefits here. And Zhao authority is limited in the number of times. It is impossible to use it forever. This time is the last time. S-level reincarnations are powerful and will more or less get some space privileges. They belong to the privileged class. After friendly and harmonious consultations and discussions, the Song and Zhao families decided to play a big one in the end. The two families prepared a large number of props and planned to strengthen the important figures of both sides. This time they set their sights on the power gem in the world of Guardians of the Galaxy. Some people may ask, since Zhang Xiaoming can be sent to learn magic, why doesn't Zhao send his own people to learn magic? The answer is simple, he sent it a long time ago, but unfortunately he couldn't learn it. Otherwise, how could Xiaoming get his turn? Talents with magical talents are rare, and the magic of the Ancient One mage is a bit too powerful. Zhao has more than a dozen places to study every day. In the first 2 times, a total of 30 talented people were sent to learn magic. As a result, only 3 people really learned magic, and only 1 person was really able to practice, with a strength of about B level. They can't be blamed. Time is limited. They have to do tasks and learn magic at the same time. It's really a waste of time. If these reincarnations work hard to complete tasks, it will be easier to get rewards from the space and learn magic directly. Learning magic through Zhao recommendation is simply a pit. So this time, there are still reincarnations willing to go, but the dozen places have not been used up. Xiaoming only got 1 place. Comparing the 2 methods, one is that the space gives reincarnations magical power, and the other is that reincarnations learn it by their own ability. Whether in terms of power or difficulty, the former is much better. By the way, there are other benefits to learning by yourself, but only when the reincarnation reaches S level or above can you have the opportunity to comprehend it. The 6 infinite gems in the Marvel world can be said to be the most precious treasures among the treasures. Even S-level reincarnations can't hold them at all. Even if they don't complete extremely difficult tasks, reincarnations can't touch the gems. Or when they touch them, they will be directly destroyed. So before in Peter Quill's spaceship, the 4 reincarnations actually knew that the power gem was on Peter. But no one dared to grab it. Their goal was at the end. When the 5 warriors of the Guardians of the Galaxy held hands and worked together to resist the energy of the power gem. The space allows reincarnations who have brushed enough favorability to mix in and share a share. How much power gem enhancement can be obtained depends on the contribution of the reincarnation. If the contribution is enough, even if you can't make a complete Captain Marvel, you should be able to brush an individual with 1/3 or 1/4 of the strength. That's already extremely powerful. So this time, in addition to sending people to follow Peter closely and brush favorability, both sides also sent people to follow Peter closely and brush favorability. There are still a lot of people who are brushing contribution points. But remember the Bull King summons. In the Xianjian world, the Xiang family of the 12 kings used the summons and pulled nearly 100 Chinese reincarnations to help Xiang Mo brush contribution points. The Song and Zhao families, of course, also have similar summons for the Dog King and the Horse King. Why don't these two families use them? Alas, it's not that they don't want to, but they can't. The summons can only be used once every 12 years. Just a few years ago, they had already used up the summons. This time they had to use all their own strength. They can only comfort themselves by saying that a large number of reincarnations coming in may mess up the main task, which is not worth the loss. It's better not to come. In addition, if this reinforcement can get a good result and gain a strong man. They also plan to advance to the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Compete with Ego. This is a bit too much. Even if Captain Marvel confronts Ego head-on, she probably can't do anything to Ego. These two families don't know Ego's true strength. But these things have nothing to do with Xiaoming. Zhao Ang couldn't tell Xiaoming about his plan. Just let this kid learn magic. He didn't know that Zhang Xiaoming had 3 souls and 3 bodies. This situation is rare, and it's not surprising. Only Huang Xiaoming went to Camartage to learn magic, and Silver Xiaoming was still hiding in Peter Quill's spaceship. Green Xiaoming was playing in another world. A cunning rabbit has 3 burrows, and Xiaoming dared not send both Xiaomings to Master Ancient One. Eggs cannot be put in the same basket. Besides, Xiaoming was still a little curious about the mission of the Zhao and Song families. He thought, it's okay not to mess with you, but it's okay to follow and watch the fun, right? Maybe I can help in a critical moment. But you have to be careful when watching the fun. Xiaoming's invisible uniform is useless in front of S-level masters. It's about a 50-50 chance to deal with A-level reincarnations. Those with keen senses can detect Xiaoming's existence. Xiaoming can fool those who are a little slow. Zhao Ang, an S-level expert, has appeared on King Song's side. I believe there will be similar experts on King Zhao's side. They are just not here. In order to avoid a head-on collision with them, Xiaoming put the circle and the scanning map far away. Be ready to run away at any time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 866. Huang Xiaoming's process of becoming a disciple of Camartage was very dull. Because he didn't even meet the Ancient One himself. I don't know what this big guy was busy with at this time. It's not necessary for the Ancient One to personally come forward to accept a non-staff disciple. Master Wang, who is also a Chinese, took the initiative to accept Huang Xiaoming as his disciple. Xiaoming also met this Master Wang in the secret realm. At that time, apart from remembering his fat head and big ears and shiny forehead, there was no other impression. Unexpectedly, this fat man Wang has a very strong fighting power, a B-level magician. The characteristic of this school of magic is to use magic to fight in close combat. This kind of operation makes Xiaoming very puzzled. However, they can use magic to condense weapons and protective gear. They can also use magic to open portals to go to places they have been to. These are all very powerful skills. In addition, the way of creating a mirror world and fighting in it. It also suits Xiaoming's heart. No matter how you fight, it will not damage the environment, which is very environmentally friendly. I won't say anything, just study hard. Xiaoming's talent is actually slightly lower than the average level. If he really studies it by himself, he will probably learn only a little bit of the basics in a year. However, Xiaoming is never alone. It seems that only Xiaoming is comprehending world magic, but in fact, there are about 67 star shadow clones practicing together in Guangmingding. In addition, other newcomers are practicing the three refuges of magic, and they are troubled by the problem of insufficient mana. After practicing a few moves, they have no mana, so they can only wait for the mana to recover. Xiaoming is different. His mana is not low. In addition to the endless replenishment of the triple source energy, Xiaoming can practice for a long time. Of course, in order not to be too conspicuous, Huang Xiaoming usually behaves like others. Combine work and rest, practice for a while, and then rest for a while. In Guangmingding, 67 star shadow clones are hard-working practicing magic. Unfortunately, Yin Xiaoming, who wanted to watch the show, had to leave early when Peter's spaceship was about to arrive at Xandar. Because Xiaoming sensed that there were two powerful reincarnations on Xandar, both of them were S-level. They seemed to be waiting for the arrival of Peter and his party. They might pay full attention to the development of the situation on Peter Quill's side. Feeling the power of the S-level masters from afar, Yin Xiaoming didn't dare to stay in the spaceship any longer. He didn't even dare to set foot on Xandar. Playing tricks under the eyes of two S-level masters? Do you think your life is too long? Xiaoming thought about it and decided to forget it. Flying around in the universe is not a big deal. It is common to fly for several months without seeing anyone. Let's go to Earth. At least Xiaoming knows a few people from the Avengers on Earth. Through Huang Xiaoming, who was practicing on Camartage, Yin Xiaoming quietly returned to Earth and left Camartage in a blink of an eye, preparing to go to New York for a stroll. Xiaoming's behavior was wise. At the same time as he sensed the two reincarnations, one of the two people actually sensed him. It's just that he is not sure. If Xiaoming really dared to stay on Peter's spaceship, he would not have a good ending. After arriving on Earth, according to the normal process, Xiaoming should send a large number of shadow clones to various parts of the world to try his luck. But this time, he agreed with Zhao Ang not to interfere. Sending shadow clones on such a large scale can easily cause misunderstandings. Xiaoming does not think he has the ability to fight against a royal family. Although he later got Zhao Ang's permission, Xiaoming still only let Yin Xiaoming act in secret. In addition, Li Xiaoao's clone was abducted by Lin Yuuru. To be precise, it was borrowed. Lin Yuuru really hasn't seen Li Xiaoao for too long. The people of the Songwang family have also tried various ways to impersonate Li Xiaoao. Disguise, makeup, plastic surgery, cosplay, and so on, but it's useless. Lin Yuuru can tell at a glance. If you want to hide from Lin Yuuru's eyes, I'm afraid it will take an A-level master to impersonate. Who among the A-level masters would do such a thing? Are they bored? The 7 stars shadow clones transformed Li Xiaoao, they really look like him. Lin Yuuru was reluctant to let go. It was a rare thing for her to meet the 7 stars shadow clones transformed Li Xiaoao. The apprentice liked him, so the master had to help. Lin Yuuru's master was not Zhao Yongnian as Xiaoming had thought before, but Zhao Ang, the S-level master. Zhao Ang once promised Lin Yuuru that if he had the chance, he would definitely turn another Li Xiaoao into a follower and accompany her all the time. Unfortunately, he has not been able to fulfill his promise so far. Lin Yuuru was able to be brought out at the beginning because Lin Yuuru died in the collapsed demon locking tower in the plot. It was relatively easy to bring her out. Li Xiaoao was different. Not only did he survive to the end, he even appeared in the sequel. It was extremely difficult to take Li Xiaoao away. Zhao Ang tried several times and failed. He even blamed himself a little. Now the apprentice wants a fake one to comfort himself. How could the master not care? So Zhao Ang put aside his pride and asked Huang Xiaoming to let this clone accompany Lin Yuuru for a while in the image of Li Xiaoao. He was even willing to pay rent for it. This is the rhythm of raising Lin Yuru as a little daughter. How could Xiaoming disagree? Of course, he couldn't ask for rent. Therefore, Zhao Ang also made a reasonable opening. If Xiaoming wanted to wander around the earth, he would not interfere. As long as he didn't fly out of the universe, it would be fine. Zhao Ang believes that the plots of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 have little to do with the Earth. Zhang Xiaoming's struggle on Earth alone should not have any impact. Too naive. When Xiaoming comes, the Earth will not be so peaceful. It is the year 2014 in the Earth calendar. The plots of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 take place in the universe. At the same time, the plot of Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier takes place on Earth. Originally, this was the mission world of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and the Earth should not appear. But because Zhao Ang used his authority, the Earth had to appear in this world. It's just that this Earth appears more as a background board. If there were only reincarnations, their attention would not be here, and the plot of Winter Soldier would not be opened. The reincarnations on Earth, except Zhao Ang in the Hong Kong temple, are the dozen or so magic learners in Camartage. No one is doing anything. However, at this time, Xiaoming stepped onto the surface of the Earth. The reincarnation space cannot perfunctorily treat its own golden guests. So without anyone noticing, the plot of the Winter Soldier officially began. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 867. Zhao Linger had no interest in the American traders. She and Li Xiao's clone went to play in the beautiful mountains and rivers of China. Yin Xiaoming took a plane to New York to meet the Avengers in another world. The easiest one to find was naturally Iron Man Tony Stark. Outside the Stark building, Xiaoming did not rush to meet Tony Stark. Tony in this world did not know Zhang Xiaoming. Xiaoming directly used the mental skills learned from Professor X to search the inside of the building, trying to connect with Iron Man's spirit. As a result, the playboy was not there. This is also a very normal phenomenon. Tony would not stay in the company honestly. He may not have gone out to play. However, even if Tony was not there, the inside and outside of the Stark building were still full of spies and secret agents sent by various countries and organizations. Among them, there were also S.H.I.E.L.D. Since you are a spy, there are basically few good people. Among spies and secret agents, the proportion of evil people is much greater than that of ordinary people. If they are really spies who risk their lives for their country, even if they do some bad things, their aura will not appear particularly dark. But the spies sent by S.H.I.E.L.D. are so dark that they are almost dripping with oil. Obviously there is a problem. It shouldn't be like this. S.H.I.E.L.D. is an organization established to protect the Earth. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s agents should be better than the spies of ordinary countries. How can they be so dark? Xiaoming's mind moved, and he pulled these S.H.I.E.L.D. spies into the dream of Tsukuyomi. They naturally couldn't resist Xiaoming's mental power. After a while, Xiaoming understood the cause and effect of the matter. Hydra, the evil organization during World War II, actually concealed its identity and infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. A large number of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are members of Hydra. They are using S.H.I.E.L.D. as a cover, but in fact they are constantly strengthening their own power. Recently, they are preparing to launch a certain evil plan, and it seems that they are about to make a comeback. That's why they sent many of their own trusted members to keep an eye on Iron Man. To ensure that he will not come out to cause trouble at a critical moment. Unfortunately, these agents are not very advanced. They only know a little about Hydra's plan and can only report the names of dozens of Hydra members, that's all. In addition, they also know some other gossip information, which is quite interesting. For example, how did Iron Man appear? What's the story of the Hulk? How did Thor come to Earth? Before the Avengers New York battle, the Hulk and a monster named Abomination also fought a battle in New York. Last year, another cosmic force, the Dark Elves, came to attack London, but was dealt with by Thor. Of course, these are all information that has been passed on for a few times. It is not very detailed and not very reliable. Xiaoming is not sure how much of it is real and how much is artificially interpreted. I just think it's very interesting. I can go to the secret realm to see it in the future. Now Hydra's plan is about to start. Let's deal with this problem first. In the secret realm after the New York battle, Xiaoming met many SHIELD agents. At that time, I also felt that the life energy of some of them was not quite right. However, Xiaoming didn't care much at that time. In Xiaoming's understanding, spies will definitely do a lot of bad things. It's normal to be a little bit evil. Anyway, they are spies of the United States, not China. Xiaoming didn't pay attention. Now it seems that most of the SHIELD agents who are particularly evil are probably Hydra's people. Since we have run into them, let's take care of them. Xiaoming immediately set off for the headquarters of SHIELD in Washington, the Triskelion. This time he used teleportation. If it was just him or a few people, Xiaoming didn't need to open the wormhole or find an object to perform the substitute technique. As long as it was within the range of the mental power scan, he could teleport there instantly. Not long after arriving in Washington, Yin Xiaoming saw the boss of SHIELD, Nick Fury, being hunted down. I saw this one-eyed black bald man driving a bulletproof car that was covered with scars, rushing left and right on the street. Several police cars were chasing closely behind. Nick Fury is indeed a level 10 agent, with strong combat power. He actually managed to deal with several pursuers. However, the matter is not over yet. In front of him, a man wearing a mask, holding a submachine gun, and a mechanical arm on his left hand appeared. This guy has strength far beyond that of human special forces. His physical fitness has reached level 3. It is not much different from Black Widow, Captain America, and others in the secret realm. Maybe he is slightly stronger. I am afraid that Nick is not his opponent. Level 3 physical fitness is actually only equivalent to D-level existence. However, if it is the protagonist of the plot, the power can be stronger in actual combat. If high-end weapons can be used, the combat power can be further improved. For example, the Captain America who uses a shield, and this guy who uses a mechanical arm. Seeing him raise his gun and about to attack Nick Fury, Nick's car also rushed over. At this critical moment, several green vines stretched out from the void in the air, and after a few twists, the two people and the car disappeared out of thin air. The people around and the Hydra people were all staring in amazement. Oh my God! A sudden transformation. Is it because I am dazzled? There were clearly people and cars here just now. The two people who were caught in the bright summit were even more dumbfounded. They didn't even realize that they were already in a dream. Xiaoming looked at the face of this weirdo carefully, and it seemed a little familiar. But I couldn't remember it. Forget it, let's go into this person's mind and take a look. In the Tsukuyomi dream, Xiaoming found that this person's brain was a mess. Many fragmented pictures appeared, and Xiaoming even saw the figure of Captain America in it. Recalling the face of this weirdo, oh, Xiaoming finally remembered it. This is a person I met in Captain America's secret realm. Captain America's good friend, Bucky Barnes. In terms of Earth time, that was more than 70 years ago. He should have died a long time ago, right? Could he have been strengthened like Captain America? Xiaoming had too little information, so he could only decide to repair Buggy first. After a few Bingzinju, the effect of Buggy's brainwashing by Hydra was eliminated. However, Buggy's original mental power was greatly damaged during the brainwashing process of Hydra. Xiaoming used the life essence to repair his mental strength. After a rescue operation, Buggy finally recovered and became the brave and kind warrior he used to be. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 868. In the history of this world, Bucky Barnes was also a comrade of Captain America. Unfortunately, during the final battle, Hydra captured him. He was later brainwashed to become an agent of Hydra and was greatly strengthened. Later, World War II ended and Germany was defeated. Hydra went underground and began to infiltrate SHIELD. Since then, Bucky has been kept frozen by Hydra unless he is on a mission. Only when necessary, he will be awakened, released to do some killing and hustling, and then hibernate again. Hence the code name Winter Soldier. After Xiao Ming repaired Bucky's brain, he didn't remember very clearly what he did during the time he was brainwashed. Memories are fragmented and there is no logic at all. Just simply accept orders and do things. There wasn't much information he could give Xiao Ming. Xiao Ming had no choice but to focus on Nick Fury. The director of SHIELD should know a lot. But God did not follow his wishes. Although he knew a lot, Xiao Ming could not break through. How can someone who can become the director of SHIELD be an easy person? His mental strength is extremely tenacious, which is rare. Generally, those who have this kind of spiritual power become magicians. Nick is just an ordinary person. If Xiao Ming wanted to forcefully break through his spirit, it was not impossible. But that would cause serious damage to him. The director of SHIELD was not a bad person, and Xiao Ming could not afford to be so cruel to him just to find out something. If you want to interrogate, there are many Hydra agents outside. Soon, Xiao Ming picked a few more guilty guys and arrested them. These guys don't have that strong mental strength. Xiao Ming just frightened them casually in Tsukuyomi, and they immediately confessed everything. Those who can be sent out to assassinate Nick Fury are all Hydra's hardcore. Needless to say, there are actually people among them who know some key information. After the interrogation, Xiao Ming shivered with fright and secretly sighed, Hydra has such a big appetite. 2 years ago, Loki led the Chitauri to attack Earth, after the Battle of New York. SHIELD felt the need to build a defensive force. So we combined the highest technological level on Earth with the captured Chitauri technological items. SHIELD began construction of 3 helicarriers. Although these 3 spacecraft cannot fly outside the Earth's gravitational range, they can always orbit the Earth like satellites. At the same time, these 3 spacecraft are connected to satellites to monitor every corner of the world in real time. The weapons on the spacecraft have the ability to strike any target around the world. Nick Fury's original intention was to use these 3 spaceships to fight against foreign enemies. It's a pity that S.H.I.E.L.D. has been too seriously eroded by Hydra. They borrowed a chicken to lay an egg and prepared another inside plan for these 3 spaceships. Powerful computer systems will calculate who are Hydra's enemies, and even possible future enemies. They plan to use these 3 ships to eliminate anyone who might resist Hydra's rule. Establish a new political order. This idea is indeed not small, and the ambition is also very big. But we can only think about this matter. If we actually start to do it, how can we succeed? If nothing else, the Hulk and the others can't be eliminated. When he is in a hurry, he can leap from the ground to the spaceship. What's more, there is still the organization of the Ancient Master. Even if these 3 spacecrafts take off, they will at most cause a large number of casualties. Mage Guyi is unhappy, he should be able to defeat them all with one move. Of course, if it reaches that point, the losses around the world will be considerable. Many superheroes and righteous people may have been killed by these 3 spacecraft. Nick Fury just doesn't have a long memory. Because of the appearance of Thor Loki, he planned to develop space gems and make weapons to fight against Asgard. As a result, the space gem was used by Loki to open the space gate and summon the Chitauri fleet, causing huge losses to the Earth. What kind of sky carrier was created this time? As a result, Hydra spotted the opportunity and took advantage of it. Why are the things he does so unreliable? If the Earth wants to survive in the universe, it really should have a certain amount of power. Otherwise, there are too many powerful opponents. However, he didn't know that the Earth already had several protective umbrellas. Otherwise it would have been done long ago. The first layer of protection is the Asgard of Asgard. In the eyes of all races in the universe, the Earth is still Asgard's territory, but the Asgards are too lazy to care about the Earth. If any alien race wants to attack the Earth, Asgard's reaction must be considered. You must know that Odin, the father of Thor, is a being that even the villain of the universe, Thanos, is afraid of. The second layer of protection is Master Guyi. She possesses extremely powerful magical powers and can also use powerful magic weapons. With her and the 3 magic temples existing, ordinary enemies would not dare to provoke the Earth. The last one is Earth's colorful superheroes and supervillains. Why do supervillains count? If the Earth does not face a devastating disaster, these people are usually busy with heroes fighting villains and villains trapping heroes. Having a great time by myself. But once it is invaded by a large-scale alien enemy from the universe, it is not ruled out that a few supervillains will become the enemies of the enemy. But most villains are unruly people, and they are definitely not willing to be the lackeys of aliens. The greater possibility is that they will join forces with superheroes to fight against foreign enemies. So Nick Fury's initial idea was right, and his Avengers plan has actually been successful. Many enemies in the universe know that the Chitauri were driven away by the Avengers on Earth. Before they want to attack, they must first measure their own strength. Is it enough to play with the 3 layers of umbrellas? Not to mention them, even Thanos dared to attack the Earth after the death of Ancient One and Odin. What Nick Fury did was to strengthen the weapons and equipment of S.H.I.E.L.D. This idea is not wrong, but the mentality of those who master the weapons must be considered. Those in power are likely to use these advanced weapons to attack the 3rd layer of umbrellas first. After all, in the eyes of those in power, these superheroes and supervillains are thorns in their eyes and flesh. They just need to be brainwashed, and the people who are cut by leaks. This kind of people in power only have their own interests in their eyes. For the sake of interests, they can even turn to foreign enemies, which is less reliable than supervillains. During the Battle of New York, the nuclear bomb dropped on New York by politicians bypassing Nick Fury is a clear proof. They even dared to attack Thor. I really can't trust these politicians. They are too short-sighted and don't know what's outside the universe. These 3 spaceships are simply a big gift package for politicians. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 869. Nick Fury joined forces with superheroes to form the Avengers because he had a special experience in contact with aliens and superheroes. Unfortunately, now, he is still on the old path of not trusting anyone. He only trusts himself. The problem is that he himself is not trustworthy. He neither has the force to suppress the world, nor is he a moral model worthy of respect, nor can he guarantee the loyalty of his subordinates. Why should he bear the fate of the Earth and mankind? Of course, Xiaoming does not fully understand Nick Fury's thoughts and past. I just think what he did was inappropriate. Xiaoming thought about the situation in the Marvel world for a while, then turned back and thought about Pangustar. I found that there are many similarities between the 2 sides. There are many extraordinary beings on both sides, they are also in a state of numerous countries, there are even many civilizations in the universe. However, Pangea is much more orderly. It seems that the difference lies in whether there is reincarnation space. Only with this kind of existence that transcends everything can we set a general rule for the world. In Xiaoming's opinion, the reincarnation space basically belongs to the good and lawful camp. The reincarnations he produced didn't seem to be able to go too far. The existence of these reincarnators not only suppresses politicians in various countries, but also has a deterrent effect on aliens. Even the rulers of several powerful countries in China are themselves reincarnators. You must know that at least the civilization of the octopus man Kraken is much more technologically advanced than Pangu. But they couldn't fight against the powerful reincarnations. This allows Pangu Star to follow the rules of the reincarnation space to a certain extent. No, it's not just Pangu Star. The scope of the reincarnation space is a huge cosmic area. In other words, it stipulates the basic rules of cosmic civilization within a large range. Xiaoming thought about it again, and it seemed that it was not just the reincarnation space that was at work. The underworld seems to be playing a similar role. Ordinary people in Pangu Star, including Xiaoming back then, did not believe that the underworld really existed. However, after becoming a reincarnator, Xiaoming has determined that the underworld exists. Then the top politicians in various countries should also know about the existence of the underworld. With such a sword of Damocles hanging high, politicians don't dare to do many excessive things. The Marvel world happens to not have such a power that transcends everything. In other words, it may exist, but people ignore this nonsense. If the underworld exists, will heaven exist? Since the Dragon Clan exists, does the Four Seas Dragon Palace also exist? Xiaoming's thoughts went astray again. What should really be considered? There is also a problem with this model. What if the rules formulated by the strongest being are unreasonable? In fact, the existence that is stronger than the reincarnation space is already close to the will of the universe. Is the will of the universe unreasonable? What an interstellar joke. Judging from Pangu Sing's experience, the relatively mild rules of the reincarnation space are actually closer to the simpler moral values of ordinary people. On the contrary, those greedy politicians in high positions will definitely feel that the rules of the reincarnation space and the underworld are unreasonable. However, in the reincarnation space, I don't want you to feel it, only I feel it. After Nick Fury woke up, facing a strange environment and being imprisoned, he did not panic at all. He was worthy of being the director of SHIELD. Humph. You caught me, well done. But don't think you won. We still have Captain America and the Avengers. What you did will definitely be liquidated. The bald black man wearing an eye patch was still very tough and did not even ask to be released. He just continued. Fight against Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, haha, I wish you good luck. You know nothing about the universe and power. Suddenly, there was another tall, bald black man in the barrier where Nick was imprisoned. It is Morpheus, who has transformed into a shadow clone of Chi Yao. Mr. Director, please be patient. I am not Hydra. I just saw someone from Hydra chasing you, so I detained you both. This is what happened. Morpheus recounted everything Xiaoming discovered about Hydra. During this period, the Winter Soldier and several other Hydra people were also brought in to speak out. Not to mention anything else, this method has already shocked Nick's mind. However, Morpheus's words coincide with the results of his recent investigation. Nick believed most of it. Sir, on behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D., I would like to express my deep gratitude for your assistance. Could you please send me, the Winter Soldier, and these prisoners to Captain America? The black bald man was nowhere to be seen. Without discussing or disclosing any information, he gave Morpheus the order directly. Very strong. However, Xiaoming did not follow his example. Besides, Nick's mental defense was not as strong as in the dream when he was awake. The telepathy from Professor X began to work. Xiaoming has a very clear grasp of Nick's thoughts. After helping him so much, not only did he not think about repaying the favor, but he was still thinking about how to take advantage of it. As expected, he was very cunning. The Chinese forces encountered on Pangu Star were all reciprocal with courtesy. Even if there is a stronger force than Xiaoming, the transaction will be fair. These crooked nuts are greedy and can't take advantage of them enough. How can I have the style of our country of Chinese etiquette? This guy obviously owed such a huge favor, but it seemed like this was what Xiaoming should do. Not a word of reward was mentioned. Nick's idea was that you are also an Earthling, and you should do whatever you want to contribute to the Earth and solve the doomsday disaster. What else do you want? Okay, I understand, Xiaoming smiled and said, but that's not how I do things. I'll hand you over to Captain America tomorrow. Nick Fury seemed to want to say something, and suddenly dozens of pictures appeared on a wall of the barrier. Nick recognized it at a glance. Each picture corresponded to a place in the Triskelion headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. There was an identical figure in each picture, and it was Captain America. They fought all the way, without using too high abilities. Only the Navy 6 styles and Haki were enough, and occasionally they would use a ninjutsu or something. Anyone who encountered a particularly dark life energy, no matter who it was, would be beaten without saying a word. The shadow clone used the bone-breaking hand, and the injuries left were not light. Not only did these Hydra agents have to be unconscious for a few days, but Xiaoming also left a trace of true energy in their bodies, destroying their combat effectiveness. Even if they regain consciousness after a few days, they will not be able to fight again. The darker the life energy, the more serious the injury. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 870. Every time he knocks down a person, the shadow clone transformed into Captain America will loudly tell the surrounding S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that the person knocked down is a Hydra spy and all of them should be arrested for interrogation. This is why Xiaoming wants to use the image of Captain America so that he can win the trust of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents as soon as possible. The real Captain America is not sure where to play the role of being friendly at the moment. Moreover, the bad guys are already in a coma and cannot defend themselves. Even if they are not detained immediately, they will still be in a coma for a few days. This gives Nick Fury enough time to regain power. These guys will not be able to escape by then. This time, the Shadow Clone army sent by Xiaoming swept S.H.I.E.L.D. Many of his subordinates had strange images and did not fight, such as the alien King Kong. Only a few of the 7 Stars Shadow Clones were used here. Most of the 7 Stars Shadow Clones are still practicing magic in camouflage. This little thing will not alarm them. In this world, Xiaoming's strength is not suppressed, and his spiritual realm skill can command all the Shadow Clones in a unified manner. In addition, telepathy provides help. The cooperation of hundreds of Shadow Clones is almost seamless. Since the strength is overwhelming, there is no need to toss some conspiracies and tricks, just go straight. Conspiracies are more likely to fail. In fact, Xiaoming's judgment based on the degree of sin is not particularly accurate. There will be some fish that slip through the net, and there will be people who are caught by mistake. But overall, there is no big problem. As a Hydra, the sin is not deep, which means that this person is not bad. After the destruction of Hydra, they must be willing to be good people again. Instead of Hydra, he was still caught. It can only mean that this guy is a little too bad. It is not unfair to catch him. The whole process was relatively smooth. The only one who stood up and fought a few rounds with the Shadow Clones was a guy named Locke Rumlow. He is actually a supervillain, codenamed Crossbones. Although he doesn't have any superpowers, he is not inferior to Captain America in terms of skills. But the strength of D level is not as good as that of C level Shadow Clones, not to mention multiple Shadow Clones. After being kicked by Lan several times, he lay down. Because this guy's sins were too deep, Xiaoming guessed that he should be an important figure in Hydra, so he took him to Guangmingding for interrogation with Tsukuyomi. He was not the only one who was taken in for interrogation. Several senior agents were guilty of serious crimes, and the most important thing was that Nick Fury would be in a bad mood when he saw them. Xiaoming knew that there was something fishy, and he was not polite at all, and took them all to Guangmingding for interrogation. If it was a reincarnation, it would not be so easy to attack important plot characters. Even if the strength was greater, the opponent would have certain protection in space. But Xiaoming was not a reincarnation. As a VIP, he was considered a person of this world. What he did was not restricted like the reincarnation. To be honest, at this time, Xiaoming's purpose of interrogating them was no longer their sins. What Xiaoming needed was the confidential information of SHIELD. SHIELD is such a powerful organization, there must be a lot of good things. This is Xiaoming's goal. Since Nick Fury is so stingy, Xiaoming decided to collect the reward himself. So the whole operation started to go wrong. The American captains, who were transformed into shadow clones, entered secret laboratories or warehouses to look for various magical items. During this period, many good agents who were loyal to their duties were temporarily stunned. Most of the items harvested were things left by the Chitauri, a few were things collected by SHIELD, and some were things left by the Dark Elves. Although the Dark Elves attacked London. But with the status of SHIELD, it is not a problem to get a share of the spoils. After all, Thor, who pacified the Dark Elves, nominally belongs to the Avengers, and country E has to give some face. For these items, Xiaoming strictly abides by the rules of the rivers and lakes and shares half of them when they meet, which makes Nick's face black. Well, his black face is due to his breed, but the blue veins on his bald head are still very telling. In fact, Xiaoming has shown mercy. If it weren't for the fact that SHIELD could be saved in the future, Xiaoming would take everything away, leaving nothing behind. This is still half left. The only thing that Xiaoming had completely hijacked was the 3 sky carriers. After cleaning up the entire Triskelion building, Xiaoming's shadow clones changed their appearances and entered the floor of the Inside project. In the huge underground space, the 3 huge sky carriers were undergoing the final correction work. All the personnel inside the sky carriers were carefully selected by Hydra. At this time, they already knew that Captain America had shown his power in the Triskelion building and arrested countless Hydra agents. Several supervisors found it hard to believe. Everyone knows Captain America's strength. It's only been a short time. Even if Captain America is made of iron, how many nails can he hit? How could he clean up the entire SHIELD headquarters? The Hydra leader in charge of managing the sky carriers hurriedly called around to inquire. Some people thought it would be safer to take off quickly. However, the outside world had been cleaned up by Xiaoming's shadow clones. Now it's impossible to give an order to open the hatch and let the mothership take off. They gathered all the Hydra agents here on the 3 motherships, ready to fight to the bitter end. Unfortunately, the appearance and number of shadow clones exceeded these people's expectations. None of the shadow clones opened the door and walked in. They all teleported directly into the spaceship and appeared next to the Hydra agents. With so many clones, Hydra was simply unable to stop a chariot. Soon all 3 ships were occupied. Xiaoming was not troubled by driving them. Without my order, you can't drive away the helicarrier. You have taken enough things, don't be greedy. Nick Fury saw many clones tinkering around in the ship, and knew that they wanted to take away the ship, and all 3. How could this be possible? Nick immediately protested to Morpheus, or rather, requested. You still don't understand that SHIELD is controlled by the Security Council, which means it must succumb to politicians. The control of these 3 ships could fall into their hands at any time. Unfortunately, this is something I cannot allow. Morpheus said in a calm and indifferent tone. Nick Fury wanted to make a final effort, and said in a tone that was almost pleading. Please, after your cleanup, SHIELD can guarantee the purity of its interior. These 3 ships are for fighting aliens. They will not fire at Earthlings. Morpheus gave him an idiotic look and let him figure it out. Don't you know what you are like? Your promise is useless. Although Xiaoming is just a passerby in this world, Xiaoming may not do much for this world. But as long as he does something, Xiaoming will definitely follow his own principles.